All right, we'll see how it all plays out. This is game number 1. Up to this point, Splyce has only been outslayed in one of their games in this tournament. And even when they did get outslayed, it was against Cloud9 in that uplink, which they still won. So Splyce, definitely the most dominant force we have seen, at least on day 1. Can they continue to impress here to kick off day 2?
I'd be shocked if they didn't, Chris. I think Splyce is a team that has been very strong throughout the end of Black Ops 3, all the way into Infinite Warfare here. I would be pretty shocked if Mindfreak ended up coming out and taking this one, but I think Mindfreak, they definitely proved themselves yesterday capable of upsetting anybody.
This is the K-Bar. It's the assault rifle in the hands of Jerd. One of the best, most versatile weapons in the game. And Jerd is going to try and light up some defenders. All 8 players going to be surging to the middle of the map. The hardpoint is up top, and if you're new to hardpoint, it's going to be the first team to control this special zone for 250 points. If 2 players from opposing teams are in it, nobody will score. It'll just be a stalemate. You have to be the only one in that hill to earn those points.
Yeah, and it's going to be Mindfreak getting some time early. You see Shox and Buzzo in the kill feed, able to pick up a few kills. Only 5 seconds left. You're not going to see a ton of time taken on this hard point. It's up on the center of the map. You're not going to be able to get up there, have a ton of cover. It's really about controlling the spawns for that second hard point.
Absolutely. Every 60 seconds, our hill is going to move, and the next one is where you can gain a whole lot of points. That, of course, is going to be in the cell block. Mindfreak currently, as you look at the mini-map, spreading out quite well. You're going to see starting to move towards that new map, but Splyce right on his heels. Zero's going to get the pick, and now this could be an even fight. It looks like Buzzo is going to have his hands full.
Yeah, but that's where Excite, I mean, he has to know players are coming on that back wall run. He turns his back to the players on Splyce, and they're able to pick up 1 kill there. It leads to 2 other kills, leads Buzzo, the only one alive for Mindfreak, now pushing into the hill right now, trying to get his teammates on a pinch, but they're not able to get over in time. It's going to be Splyce getting control of cell block, and this is a hill you can get a ton of time on. You see how far away those blue arrows are spawning away from this hard point.
We have Mad Cat starting off the game with 6 kills, just 3 deaths. Zero is going to fall, and Jerd is off to a really slow start at 1 and 5. That's a big one, though, as he takes down Fida. Mindfreak still trying to flood, too. It's Buzzo and Excite challenging at the hill. A 3rd player now in for reinforcement. Splyce is going to pick up 2 here, and they will start to rotate to the new hill. Jerd is already set up, and they will pick up the final 12 seconds on cell block. Splyce has the lead, and they should be able to continue to grow this if Jerd can pick up the big kills. The support is there. They've got it locked down first.
Yeah, and Jerd is a player you're not going to see his stats really kind of wow you. He's going to be very aggressive into the hard points. He's going to be one of the first players in with Bance on this Splyce team, really forcing those engagements. So with Jerd, you're really looking at seeing how much action he causes, how much commotion he causes in and around the objective.
Now, if you watched Birmingham, that was, of course, the EU-only tournament just 1 week ago. In the grand final, Splyce was playing up against Epsilon, and I remember watching them on this map. Mad Cat had such a tough time in transition. Now we see Jerd kind of rotating first, and Mad Cat is just picking up these cut kills, the kills in transition. He's double positive. It looks like Splyce has definitely looked at their last event, talked about what went wrong, and already you see the changes coming into effect.
Yeah, and I think with just the way this game is in general, with so much assault rifles in play, that it's not like, games in the past where you couldn't have an SMG player rotate early, lock down the spawns. You can have a player like Jerd rotate a little bit early if he's the best one in position, with timing on the hard point and whatnot. Rotate because you have that K-bar in your hands, which is very effective at range. See Mad Cat able to rotate towards this next hard point. He picks up the first kill in it. It's going to be Splyce controlling the commissary early.
Shox is going to have 3 people in front of him, picks up Mad Cat, but Bance is there to trade out. So Splyce remains in control, but the players are having to come across the wall run to reinforce the position inside the hill. Mindfreak trying to set up for a hill break. Will they be able to do it? They just lost 2 players. Bance is going to find a 3rd, but Shox is there to trade out a double. The triple's not going to happen. Mad Cat saves the day.
And Shox still playing well, carrying over the play from yesterday, but here's what you're scared about. You see Buzzo on the side of Mindfreak, 4 and 6. But Dow tells me not forcing a lot of engagements, playing very slow. We heard him in his talk earlier before this match. He said, they need to play aggressive. They need to play fast. He's not doing that right now.
Bance is playing quite quickly, though. He just picked up a triple, 4 kills in total on this spree. And if you look in the bottom right, those are your score streaks. The more kills you string together, the more points you are going to earn. And with those points, you are going to unlock score streaks. He does have a Scarab, which is a pretty weak scouting tool. Can pick up an occasional kill, but really you're looking for those Trinity rockets, and of course, you want the big bombs if you can lock them in at the top.
Yeah, you know, most players are running flak jackets, so you're not going to really be able to pick up any kills with the Scarab. And you do see at the halftime of this game, it's going to be Mindfreak down a plenty. They have control of this center hardpoint. You see Splyce. They're going to have to go on a little bit of a further journey here. They're playing for that next hill. So with the amount of time they have in the lead, they can afford to play for the spawns for this next hardpoint.
Player number 4, Mad Cat's trying to get behind enemy lines. Jerd's going to get the first pick. And now the floodgates are open. Splyce is coming surging through. The last defender, Shox, is going to fall. Fantastic retake there by Splyce.
Yeah, now you look, Splyce gets control of the hill. It's going to force Mindfreak to play all the way back, trying to get control of this cell block hardpoint. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Excite here in the back. And I believe that's Buzzo there with him as well. So Buzzo's going to be watching his right side. Excite has to lock down this mid-cut.
It was Mindfreak able to take control of cell block last time around. Will they be able to rebuild their scoreboard? Down by 50 points at the start of cell block. Excite is inside. Right next to him is going to be Fighta. Both players losing their support. They're going to go out to the balcony, but Jerd is waiting for him. Jerd is going to find 1-0 on the flank. Will find the third. And now it looks like we're going to have 3 down for Mindfreak. Everyone's spawning at the top, and they're going to have their work cut out for them. Splyce knows exactly where they're going to be challenging from.
Yeah, it was a great pinch by Splyce. They send 3 players out towards the back, and then that forced the players inside of that hard point to go out on the outskirts, and it was Jerd they were able to pick up some kills. But Mindfreak fighting back inside of the hill. You see Mad Cat, though, he's able to contest the hard point from that outer balcony, and you see the players of Splyce just keep flooding in, flooding in. Now they're able to just prevent Mindfreak from getting a ton of time there. It's going to be Splyce rotating towards our next hard point over in Graveyard.
So Mindfreak had it at first. They are going to pick up the final 15 points as well, and that's going to bring them within about 35. The rotation fight, though, this is going to be the big one. Can they get a clean wipe on Splyce? First pick by Excite, looking for more. He got the call out. There's going to be several players around that new hard point. And he is just going to try and buy time, wait for his team to push in. FTL jump is available as well. We'll see if he decides to use his payload to get up close and personal.
Yeah, FTL is a payload that you see sometimes in like highlight reel plays. We've seen Formal do it time and time again, but it's really one that you're not going to be able to make a consistent play with. You do see a time though. You do on the occasion make something crazy happen, but you can't rely on FTL. You're really looking at your players with camo. That's going to be Shox for Mindfreak. It's going to be 3 kills for Splyce. Shox does have that camo. You would not like to see him use it. Here as Splyce comes in and breaks, I think you need to save that camo for when you're in dire straits.
20 points remain here for Splyce to gather. They've rebuilt their lead once again, trying to go up to about 50-point advantage. And it's going to be Mindfreak fighting for the final 10 seconds. Splyce, though, is going to be able to rotate to the cell block. The key fight is going down. Fighta, player number 5, working with Excite here in the back. Excite's going to pick Bance. One more defender to get past the double team. Mad Cat handles Fighta. Can he get the double? He will. So both attackers going to be silenced by Mad Cat. It's Splyce with full control now, Matt.
Yeah, and that was a nice use of the FTL jump there from Jerd. Gets right around the corner, able to pick up 1, 2 more players attacking this back helipad area. See so much emphasis put on this because that's where you're going to be able to lock down the spawns for your team. You see Zero hanging out in the back here. 2 of his teammates spawn up with him. He's got 1 player coming across that wall run. It's going to be Mad Cat on a pinch. A fantastic play there by Splyce to get commissary back.
I've been so impressed by watching Splyce on the minimap. Every time they're just crashing from multiple directions. Mindfreak unable to handle the chaos. And it's Splyce who continues to tally up on that scoreboard. Over 200 points there, now 45 points away from taking our first game in the best of 5.
We'll see if Splyce can get control of the center hardpoint. They do have the opportunity to end it on this hill. See Jerd in the bottom of the hardpoint, just waiting for players to jump up top. Maybe his teammates can pick up 1 in the middle and he can come out and attack. But it's going to be Mindfreak picking up 2 kills. They get control of this hardpoint. And you know, a lot like in the first rotation, in the second rotation, Mindfreak gets control of this top center early.
We've actually seen teams able to gather quite a bit of time on this center hardpoint if they lock it down perfectly. But to do so, you need to be pushing players out and catching the attackers in rotation. Splyce right away retakes control. They continue to climb, now 28 points away from victory. And there's going to be 26 left on the clock, so they could end the game right here if they play it perfectly.
Yeah, and Bance right now is playing great on a 5 streak. He's going to fall, but just the damage he was doing. Nobody really getting close towards the hard point from Mindfreak. They're going to have to flood in here one by one, and they finally get a break with 10 seconds left, but they can't really hold on to this, Chris. They have to push through because they cannot give up cell block here at the beginning. Bans
continuing to impress. 21 and 18. Mad Cat is going to use his payload, and Jerd is going to find the two-piece. The camel play coming in for Shocks on the back end, and he is now going to be working towards a new payload, but this one looks all locked up, Matt. Mindfreak has to break now. There's only 5 points remaining.
Oh, and even if they were to break here, it does not look likely that they'd be able to make a comeback. In our first game of the day, it's going to be Splyce taking the hard point over Mindfreak, 250-165.
We're looking at the numbers to see who is Splyce's best player on day one. Everyone impressed, but the two guys at the top were Mad Cat and Vance. Overall, statistically, both of those players having a fantastic first hard point, and now Mindfreak, they're in a hole. You got to battle back here and try and win the 3 games before you get to a game 5, because we know how deadly Splyce will be in that tiebreaker.
And I really think the story for Mindfreak is yesterday you had, obviously, Shocks. He played out of his mind, but you had Buzzo. He did not hurt the team yesterday. Played about even, kept them in a lot of the games, playing nice, on the rotation, playing aggressive. Did not do it there in that game number 1. He's really going to be the difference maker for Mindfreak today.
So game 1 is in the books. Splyce comes out swinging. They have been so impressive so far this tournament. How many games have they lost? Just the one to Envy?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, Splyce is a very strong team, and not just Europe, the global scale. Just a fantastic squad. Obviously, some veterans there in Mad Cat and Jerd, who have been competing for a very long time in competitive Call of Duty. And then Zero and Bance, 2 players who really kind of rose to the top in Europe last year.
So looking at the game modes, we call our hard points and uplinks respawn game mode. Search and destroy, you only get 1 life per round. They dropped 1 search to Envy, but they were able to win theirs against Cloud9 yesterday. So they're 1-1 in search and destroy so far. They are perfect in their hard points and uplinks. So this is a big game. If you look at kind of the stats from Splyce, if you're Mindfreak, you got to steal an S&D win right here. This is going to be a big game 2 coming up.
Yeah, and I wonder how much practice either of these teams have with the new spawns on Retaliation as we look through some of the highlights from game number 1. Game number 2 could be very interesting. Obviously, like Karma talked about, the defensive spawns change on Retaliation, just changes some of the timings up, which is so crucial to competitive Call of Duty in Search and Destroy. And then your game 5, if we got there, would be Breakout, which is a new map to the rotation. It replaces Scorch, obviously. You don't know how that's going to play with both of these teams.
Yeah, we haven't
probably
seen
not
it
getting
yet.
that much practice.
We have not seen it yet, and these two teams definitely have not played each other in that new game mode. So Breakout, Search and Destroy, if it goes the distance, could be a coin flip, and honestly, probably Mindfreak's best chance of winning a Game 5 S&D against this team.
And I think, just to reiterate, with the way this group and pool play works, it's that obviously, if there's a tie, it goes through a certain amount of tiebreakers. Well, now one of those would be the overall map count. Very important for Mindfreak to get some maps against these top teams. And you can see in the commissary, it was Splyce absolutely dominating Mindfreak 86-11.
Yeah, commissary was big. Also, fantastic control from Splyce on the cell block. Every time that Mindfreak was in, they got him out with about 15 seconds into it. And it was just great rotations, great crashing on those hard points. Mad Cat led the way with 27 kills. Bance was right behind him. But over on the other side, we should highlight Excite, a 1.23 with over a minute of hill time. He had a great game 1. If he gets a little bit more support, they could be deadly in a second hard point, which would be game 4.
Yeah, Excite is the newest player to Mindfreak. Obviously, the longest standing organization in the Australian region for competitive Call of Duty. You've had, Fighta, Buzzo, and Shocks playing together for a very long time. We're playing with Dens. He leaves, goes to Tainted Minds. They pick up Excite, an up-and-comer last year. He has filled Dens' role. I know not up to Dens' potential. Dens is a fantastic player, but he has done a nice job fitting in for this MF squad.
All right, your players to look out for in Search and Destroy. We touched on it all day 1. It comes down to those camo plays. When you go invisible, you are such a threat in single life rounds like we see here in Search and Destroy. So for Splyce, it's going to be 0. For Mindfreak, it's definitely going to be Shocks, your key players to look out for.
Yeah, and I think when you get that camo, it's just determining on how you're going to use it on the defensive end. Maybe you slide in with camo, you get a first kill to open up a retake opportunity on a bomb site. And then with the way Retaliation's changed on the defensive end, maybe you have more uses for it on offense where you can get a little bit better timings to get control of that top plat area.
If you're just joining us in competitive Call of Duty, this is Retaliation, Search and Destroy. And up to this weekend, basically, we have seen that the attackers have a massive advantage. They were able to get to the B bomb site before the defenders could really cause any problems, and so it was the offense. So he's setting up first, and the pressure was on the defenders to kind of retake and win those big rounds. Now that the defender spawn has moved up a little bit, they should be able to meet the offense around the same time, and it's going to be a lot more difficult to get that bomb down safely. Yeah,
and a lot of the contention's going to come over that B bomb site that you just saw in that lower market area. You're going to see the defensive teams coming down the staircase, trying to get control of that top plat area, really make aggressive pushes down and try and contest over at that B bomb site. That's where you're going to see the offense put a lot of pressure on.
B bomb site, of course, lower street on the left side of the map. At the top of the map right now, you can see that is the A bomb site over on the bridge. Much more wide open, more difficult to get a bomb planted safely. At the start, Splyce is going to take their time. They're on the attack. Zero's going to lead the charge, but it's 3 kills right away from Mindfreak. Madcat will answer back with a second kill here for Splyce, but he's alone in a 1 versus 3, now down to a 1v2. It's Buzzo and Excite left up.
Yeah, and he's going to get taken down there at the end, so it's going to be Mindfreak taking round number 1, and you see just a little bit of timing changes coming into play there. It was Mindfreak able to get to that top plat first. You saw Splyce trying to hit through that straight hotel area into the window and up on top of plat. And just the timings did not work out for them there. MFA will pick up 3 quick kills and then take out Madcat at the end.
I'd love to show this round from the defensive standpoint if we can, just to show you guys the new spawns here for the defenders and how quickly they can get into position. We're going to start things off with Bance, Jerd, and Zero going down low. Madcat is going to work his way towards that bedroom window. And already you can just see how quickly you can catch your opponents in transition. Jerd, Bance, and Zero all with the opening kills. It's done in about 15 seconds.
Yeah, so typically, obviously, you know, with the old spawns, when you see the players coming down that staircase there, the offense was able to get there before them, nade that, and then it makes it very difficult for the defense to push down through that lower market and down through that staircase. But you see there, it's going to be Splyce actually beats Mindfreak to the spot, changes the map completely. You're able to just fight from directly on that B bomb site.
And how impressive were those shots from Bance in your kill cam? That player is behind a wall. He is hitting all headshots while midair.
I think if you're Splyce, obviously you know the different timings now with getting down towards B. I like the idea of taking control of this middle and maybe baiting Mindfreak out with a little bit of aggression here, and that's exactly what Madcat's going to do. Play this a little bit slower. He's going to draw first blood.
And he spotted a second player, so he's going to make the call-outs. There's at least one on flank. Splyce is going to get the bomb planted safely. There's a 45-second timer. After 45 seconds, it'll blow up unless the defenders can get to it with 7.5 seconds or more on the clock to defuse.
We'll see how Fida and MF are going to play this. Obviously, man, down in the round, Buzzo evens it up at 3 players apiece, though, and now Fida knows exactly where one player is on Splyce. There's another one rotating back, trying to help him back, but Splyce has actually gotten completely off a bomb here. They have given up so much map control, but it's going to be Zero going back to check bomb, able to take out 2. The last player on MF falls. It'll be Splyce winning another round.
And Splyce played that so smart. They didn't challenge on the bomb right away. They knew that the defenders would kind of panic and get on that site. Zero checks it, is able to pick up 2 kills, and even if he failed, you see Jerd right there next to him would have been in position to stop the defuse.
Yeah, when he went to go check Zero, I believe there was one player from Mindfreak who's about halfway through defusing that bomb. I believe it was Buzzo on it. And I know if Zero does not check that in time, maybe the first player kind of body blocks, he's able to pick up that kill. Maybe Mindfreak defuses that bomb.
Want to point out the weapon use here. Shox is pulling out the SMG with the laser sight. He is going to be deadly with that ERAD up close. Also look out for player number 8, Excite. He's out there up top. Jerd's going to call him out, though. So Excite's been spotted for Mindfreak. Jerd is going to find the planner, and he is going to stop him short at the site. Jerd causing all kinds of problems, finishes off an injured Excite. This is now a 3-on-2. Buzzo and Shox left up for Mindfreak. Leave it up to just Buzzo now in a 1v3.
Yeah, the fact that Jerd stayed alive for so long there is so impressive. I mean, he slides out of the way. He absolutely destroys Excite. He had to be weak. He put like 2 bullets into him. We'll see how Buzzo decides to play this here. He's left alive in garage. Not many options. You had both players from Splyce just locking him in there. It's a nice shot there from Bance to put Splyce up 3-1.
And Jerd kind of set them all up, right, Matt? He scouts it out first. He gets your first pick. And then Bance just has to clean up the final kill. Splyce looking really strong so far in this S&D.
Yeah, it was a smart play by Jerd not to shoot that player up on top plat, because obviously with the K-bar at that range and, you know, just the ability to get behind that bar area, that player most likely would have lived. So he ends up going in, taking the player out on bomb, forces that player off of top plat to come and challenge him, get him out of garage. just forces Mindfreak to give up all the good position they had.
We're currently watching the blue team. This is Mindfreak on defense. They want to stop the bomb from being planted. Over for a yellow squad, though, it's going to be Splyce using the Scarab, scouting out, trying to see where are the defenders before they push in with this bomb. A player should be spotted in the top window. Here comes the Scarab. He's going to see two. So even though they didn't do any damage there, they got a lot of information out of that scout.
We'll see how Splyce decides to play this. They do get bombed down, which is interesting that Mindfreak gives up the B site. Obviously, with the new changes, you're able to get to this top plat first, get down to B early. It'll be Shox and Buzzo, though, with a kill apiece in the feed. One player goes right under Jerd.
Yeah, Jerd just landed on someone looking for him now. Finds Shox. Will he find the second? Tags him up, but that player will survive. It's Jerd, who is in a 1v4. Now will be gunned down. This bomb will be defused, and it'll be Mindfreak bringing it back within one, 3-2.
Yeah, and I was actually worried about Mindfreak there. You know, they give up a ton of real estate over on the B site. Teabags are out for
he's dipping it, Matt. He's dipping it deep.
I mean, they're down 1-0. They haven't looked that great here in the search and destroy, so no reason to bring the bags out that early, but...
I like it, though. We were talking to Excite, and Jack was saying, you got to use these emotes more, man. They're all in the game. You got to use the gestures. Excite over the dead body. Let them know.
That's Jack's Call of Duty coaching. Use more emotes.
Hey,
use more gestures.
He was talking to his twin. Excite listens. Here we go. Round 6. Mindfreak trying to tie it up. They have to win their offensive round. And look at this. All 4 members of Splyce, stack B, bomb site wide open at A, and that is exactly where Shox was headed.
Yeah, we saw Mindfreak do this the other day on Throwback. Obviously, there's certain sites that are preferred from the offensive side on a lot of the search and destroy maps, and Mindfreak able to go get a free plant over at A. Now we'll see how Splyce decides to retake this over on the bridge with a lot of wide open area to cover. And
Splyce did use his Scarab to blow up those cars. Bance is going to find first blood, so it is Splyce with a man advantage. But now we have Buzzo and Shox in the feed. It's all up to Jerd, 1 versus 2. Can he clutch? He's running out of time as well, has about 10 seconds to work with, and he is not going to be able to get it done. Mindfreak storming back, winning back-to-back rounds here.
And that is a site that, obviously, on the defensive end, you don't really see too many times where you have to retake it. So it's not like B where you have a bunch of different options already kind of pre-planned where, okay, we're going to go hit plat and then take it back from there, or we're going to force down through market. When the other team plants it A and they back all the way up on the bridge, you're just trying to figure out how you take it back kind of on the fly. So very good round there from Mindfreak. They get bombed down and they win it.
Mindfreak on the defensive end is going to stack B, but they will send one player into the hotel. That is going to be Fida, who's in charge of scouting. And when he doesn't see any challengers, they are going to know this bomb is going over to A. Splyce trying to replicate the strategy we saw from Mindfreak, but Splyce is actually wrapping all the way around for the initial Mindfreak spawn control.
Yeah, and they need to because they know that there's a chance that Mindfreak pushes back out towards the back of hotel, back towards their defensive spawn. They're going to need to control this area, and it's going to be Bance picking up Buzzo in Graveyard, and now MF in a world of trouble, Chris. I mean, they have to either push all the way straight down bridge into Grave, which we see is a very difficult fight to do.
Yep.
And now Fida, you see, he has to just get into Grave and pick up at least 1.
3 players stacked over here, and the kills are traded back and forth. 2 down and make it 4. Everyone is going to fall 4-3 as we see the lead go back in favor of the boys on Splyce. Mindfreak going to have their hands full. Coming into this next round, it's Bance again in your kill cam. He got the first blood. He's going to pick up your final kill as well.
Yeah, and that actually turns into a 1v1 rather quickly there. And Excite with the ERAD, he was able to pick up 2, but at range, the NV4 will win against the ERAD. Most of the time, the NV4 player still needs to knock down his shots, but still, at the range that Bance was at, he is going to win that gunfight with relative ease against an ERAD player.
And I want to point out Shox here. He's the only man with a payload. Excite could earn his payload as well in this round, but Shox has the camo. Excite is going to look for first pick with the sniper over on the A bomb site, and Mindfreak is going to take their time to plant. They're not going to try and force anything. Look for Shox, though, to try and open things up with a first kill.
He's going to slide in with the ERAD. He's going to get taken out, though, so you're going to see both kills traded out here. It's going to be back to a 3v3. But it's quite odd. You send your sniper player on such a long flank here, and it's going to be Jerd. I believe Excite did spot him, and he actually misses the shot. Now Jerd's going to get out of harm's way. But they know Excite only has that pistol in his back pocket, so they may be able to challenge him here.
And here comes a camo play, I believe, from Zero. And it looks like Zero is going to get the kill on Excite. So man advantage. Once again, it's 3 versus 2 in favor of Splyce. Bomb is going to be planted, though, by Mindfreak. So Buzzo and Fida just trying to figure out where can they spot up? Where can they support each other and yet get the picks of the incoming defenders?
Yeah, and I believe Zero uses the camo there because they believe that the bomb is going down at A. I think they believe that Shox is going to be putting it just a distraction over in Garage. And you see Jerd going to open things up with an intro kill there. Buzzo, he's in a world of trouble. It's going to be Zero sliding in, able to take him out. Now, don't love the camo use there at a Zero. Obviously does not know the situation. He probably thinks that Mindfreak is stacking over towards A. They're going to try and get bombed down over there. They have the sniper in the back of Graveyard. Why would you send a sniper by himself to flank all the way? Doesn't really make much sense. So I understand the use of camo there in that situation, like what he was thinking. But still, you'd want it later in the game.
They don't have the mini-map like we do,
they don't have the luxury of seeing what's going on.
These guys are making their decisions based on limited information. At the end of it all, they won the round, so it's not a waste, but it could have been used more effectively potentially later in this game.
Well, with the information that Zero had, I understand why he used the camo in that situation.
Bance has been playing incredible. He's at 8-4, but Zero and Jerd right next to him with 7 kills each. It's been a quiet game for Mindfreak outside of Shox. He's been leading the charge with 7 kills, but they need everybody to pick up kills now. It's Splyce on game point. They have full control of B. Mindfreak trying to flank around. They're all trying to hit this site at once.
We'll see how Splyce decides to play this. They could push all the way through B, but it looks like they're going to opt to try and just get bombed down, play from the site. But it's going to be Excite taking out Zero here, and he's going to get out of harm's way. You do have Mad Cat up in the plat. He's able to take out one, so that's going to put a lot of pressure on the side of Mindfreak to get him out of that position. They do just that. It's going to be Fido winning one, Buzzo with another. Mindfreak has full control of this round.
Final player up for Splyce is Jerd in a 1v2. And Jerd just trying to stay alive. The bomb still hasn't been planted, so he needs to pick up both of these kills if he wants to clutch up and win the round. Tagged up, he knows the challengers are going to be coming. They're probably coming as a duo. And he's trying to run away. Is he going to run into a player? Yes, it's Fido waiting for him in the hallway. And Mindfreak stays alive. Will they be able to plant the bomb on the attack, though?
And I wonder what they decide to do on the attack. You know, they had Excite with the sniper rifle in his hands, go over towards A. He's not able to pick up anybody with it in the previous round. I wonder if they go back to A on offense. It worked so well before, and you expect Splyce to kind of call that bluff and put a lot of pressure over towards B this round. Love to see MF go back over towards A.
And I wanted to see what weapons they're running. They're all running short-range SMGs, so they're going to try and go quick. They're going to try and run through the hotel. Last round on defense, they're all running the NV4 assault rifle. Instead, this time, they want to change up the pace and catch Splyce off guard.
Yeah, and Fida and Shox pick up a kill apiece as see Fida leading the charge with an NV4, and it's going to be Shox finishing things up with an ERAD on that second player. And now you're going to see Splyce down to 2 players here, Mad Cat and Zero. See if they can even the odds, and now they're going to have to defuse the bomb as well.
Mad Cat has a player tagged up, but knows there's too many opponents to challenge at once. Zero trying to get into position as Mad Cat is going to reposition. The flank could be coming in, but Zero's going to need help. Look, going up and above, looking for players. He tagged someone up through the wall, but couldn't finish the kill. Excite will melt him, and we're going to a round 11. I love the strategy being implemented here by Mindfreak.
Well, Mindfreak is also able to win that round without burning, I believe, through Fida's reactive armor, and I think they do still have Shox's active camo. So you do have those powerful payload abilities that can come into question here in round 11. You know, when you have those 2 abilities up against a team that I believe, you know, Zero does not have the camo, use it in that previous round with Excite with a sniper rifle in the back. You do have Bance with reactive armor and Jerd with FTL jump. You expect Mindfreak to be able to win this with all the utility they have.
Mindfreak's undefeated in round 11 so far in the GPL. They beat Cloud9 yesterday, but this time around, they're down a man. Jerd goes flying up with the FTL jump. Fida is there to trade. It's a 1v1. Fida versus Mad Cat, and Mindfreak is going to clutch up, Matt. They were down big and come storming back in the second half of this game.
And I would love if we can actually see a replay of that final round, because Shox is on that lower wall run, and I didn't catch it. He may have actually just gotten hit on the wall run, but I'm not even sure if he uses the active camo. I think he was actually waiting until he gets about halfway on the bridge to use it so he can bring it all the way to the other side. And that is a big win for Mindfreak in terms of this overall series, tying it up at 1 game apiece, and overall in groups, because now it puts a lot of pressure on Cloud9 moving forward to not only beat, you know, Envy and Splyce in their next coming matches, but also beat them pretty handily.
Big win right there for Mindfreak. They now have the momentum going into a game 3. Will they be able to win another uplink? We'll find out when we return. Don't go anywhere. This is the Call of Duty World League GPL, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. It's time to take a look at our G Fuel key player matchup here going into game number 3. It's all tied up between Splyce and, of course, Mindfreak. Matt, look at the numbers. Break it down for me.
I mean, we're going into game number 3 uplink coming up next, and you see Shocks with a 1.68, 0 with a 0.86. Both these players running active camo for their respective teams, and you see Shocks just doing absolute work.
Doing work once again as Mindfreak steals the search and destroy. That was your G Fuel key player matchup. Now it is time. Welcome back as we get into game 3, the swing game. Mindfreak currently 1-1 so far in week 1. Splyce 2-0 in overall match count. This is a big one if the Australians could take one off of our top-ranked team.
It would be huge, just in terms of where they could potentially place. You know, we do see that right now they're in a great spot to finish 3rd, potentially. A lot of people, you know, probably predicted them to finish last in this group, but I mean, if they're able to upset a team like Splyce, you know, then it turns into maybe them and Envy and Splyce, you know, kind of like a 3-team race realistically for that 1 and 2 spot.
And if you watched Mindfreak's games against Envy last night, they were in the lead in almost all of the respawn game modes.
Very close,
it was Envy kind of clutching up at the end. So when there's that rematch later of Mindfreak versus Envy, anything is possible. You get a win here and you beat Envy again later, you're looking great to potentially steal that 2nd spot.
I mean, look, when you have a player who is playing as good as Shocks is right now, as long as the other players play about even and they're in the right spots, they're locking down the right things, and they're just making smart plays, like as long as nobody's doing anything to hurt you, you're going to have a chance in all of these matches. But you're just relying a lot on Shox to show up in the way he's shown up this weekend.
He's playing like Gunless back in Atlanta, man. He's the one-man army at times. He's playing with his teammates really well, and the versatility. He can run the SMG, he can run the K-bar. We even saw him using an NV4 a little bit earlier on that first hardpoint. So look for this man. Can he live up to the stats from yesterday? I doubt it, because he was ridiculous on day one. Already, he's impressing here on day two, though.
So I think these are some guys, obviously Mindfreak, that a lot of people in North America don't get a chance to see. You know, the Australian League last year on late at night. No, these guys have been dominant. You know, last year into this year, Shox, a very strong player in both titles. I think the biggest question for me with Mindfreak was how would they adjust to the playstyle. The playstyle in North America and then now in Europe is a lot faster than down in the APAC region. And you see Mindfreak, they have some players that excel with that fast pace. You see Excite with the ERAD in his hands, Shox as well. They're able to put up some big numbers. You know, Fida obviously traditionally a very strong player at fast pace as well. So I think this game actually plays to their strengths a little bit.
Now, they played very different maps, but I want to kind of compare Mindfreak versus Cloud9 and Splyce versus Cloud9 when it came to the weaponry. When Splyce played Cloud9, it was on Precinct. You saw 3 players running a K-bar, 1 player running the NV4. Meanwhile, when Mindfreak played against Cloud9, it was on Frost, and 3, if not all 4 players were running ERADs. I wouldn't be surprised after watching Throwback S&D to see a whole lot of SMGs being thrown at Splyce here from Mindfreak again.
Yeah, I think maybe you see 1 ERAD, potentially 2. On a map like Throwback. I think when you look at Frost Uplink in particular, that is when you're going to see a lot of SMG play. We've seen, you know, some of the biggest, you know, NV4 players, best NV4 players in the world, really kind of complain like, oh, we hate when we see the ERADs coming at us. But we can take a look at the Retaliation S&D box score, find out exactly what happened.
Yeah, so here's a look back as we wait for our players to get ready for game number 3. Fida, we talked about Shox's contributions, but Fida in the second half of this game started to light it up. He got that final clutch 1v1 kill as well. 9 and 6, a 1.5, best KD on his team. On the other side, Jerd made some fantastic plays. It looked like he was going to have an all-star play with that FTL jump in the final round. But at the end of the day, it's Mindfreak winning the last 3 straight and coming back huge to tie up our series.
Yeah, in that final round, we didn't catch it, but I believe Fida wins the last 2 gunfights with reactive armor. So saves that payload ability for the right time. He's able to pick up some kills.
So smart. It pays off to save those payloads. Here in Uplink, though, let's talk about the payloads as we take a look at our rig draft. Always talking about Zero's camo, and of course, on the other side, it'll be Shox going for those invisible dunks. But what else could come into play here in this COD basketball game?
I mean, look, you're going to be looking at potentially Overdrive as well. It's not as strong as last year because they know the time to kill very fast in this game, where potentially you grab the drone, use Overdrive, you can get into a better position, but you could get cut down pretty easily. I think active camo is really the most powerful ability in all game modes. We're going to harp on it all weekend long. It really comes down to how that player with active camo uses that ability to win these games. You can see the teams that have had success so far in this tournament. I mean, Envy, Slasher, fantastic active camo player. You've seen the things that Zero and Shox have done for their teams. Cloud9, they've struggled. You have not seen great active camo use from them.
I know we got a lot of people out in the crowd here today, a lot of new faces here. If you're just watching Uplink for the first time, that right there is a satellite uplink. You're able to take the drone and throw it in there for 1 point. If you're able to jump up and dunk it in, it's worth 2. There's only 1 objective on the map, so everyone is going to be fighting for that drone control. And the big scores are going to come in once you wipe the opponents with 3 or 4 down as you get the whole team to take over the enemy's base.
Yeah, and a lot like the NFL, you see a lot of the times they talk about time of possession. Really just keep an eye on, you know, how often your team controls the drone. I think that really plays a huge part in Uplink, whether you're going to get towards mid-map consistently, pick up that drone, lock down that area. You'll see the team obviously just push that other team further and further back into their base. Easier to get points on the board.
Big shout out to our observer this weekend. It's Brian Saint, the former pro player, running the in-game cameras for us here in Columbus. And Excite is on your screen first, running the SMG, his teammates with a K-bar and NV4 assault rifles clearing the way. Excite's going to be on a flank, and Jerd, the last man standing for Splyce, was somehow able to take the drone, run it past all the defenders, and throw a 1-point toss-up to take the lead.
Yeah, so what happened there is Mindfreak gets towards that middle of the map, and they pick up 2 kills. You saw 1 player for Splyce, I believe it's Mad Cat, throws it forward. Jerd is in that lower cut, nobody all the way in the back for Mindfreak. And it's going to be Jerd able to get a 1-point throw on the board early. And things looked very good for Mindfreak, picking up all the kills off the break. Splyce with a fantastic play to get a 1-point play.
And Splyce is going to lead the charge with some tactical grenades, stunning up their opponents, and now picking up the kills. It's been all yellow in the kill feed. They have the drone in the hands of Jerd once again. He was perfect on his first toss. Will they be able to convert this into points?
We'll see how they decide to play this. You see Jerd just trying to toss it. Looked like it was for yards there, just trying to get some kind of control, because you see all the players from Mindfreak just in their base, locking it down. Not really any angle that you can see Splyce push from at this time.
You got to kill the defenders before you can push in. Mad Cat's going to find one, second one spotted in the window now. He pre-fires, no challenge. And Mad Cat now, with all of his teammates dead, has to play his life. Picks up one, grabs a new gun with more ammo, looking for a second. He slides in, does half damage, but can't finish the kill. Meanwhile, though, he just slowed down Mindfreak. So the drone's on the ground. This is basically a stalemate until someone gets a big swing.
Yeah, I mean, there was no opportunity for Splyce to get in and score there. So what they do is they reset the drone. They try and force Mindfreak to come back towards that middle of the map and fight for it, and then be able to win those gunfights and then get more points on the board. But see Mad Cat just trying to lock down that bike pass side. He's going to lose that gunfight, and you see Shox pushing through. If Mindfreak can control this area, you can bring the drone back towards Lemon, potentially get a score through that house.
Yesterday, we kind of harped on the mistakes we saw from teams like Cloud9, who were spread out too far on the minimap. I've been very impressed by both of these squads, by how many times they're standing next to a teammate. They're working together. You see Mindfreak able to lead in with a blocker. Then the shot comes up from Shox. This will tie it up, one apiece, 2:30 still to go here in our first half.
And Buzzo gets into a good position here on bike path. He's able to get one. You see Mindfreak putting a lot of pressure on this side of the map, trying to get control of it. But Excite needs to get back and defend his base. Shox there, though, in the feed. He's able to take out both players, pushing the drone up. You see, it's going to be Excite leading the charge with the ERAN. One player directly behind Lemon. It's going to be Shox yet again, able to clean up yet another kill, but he finally falls. Nobody else in position for Mindfreak to make a play.
I like this combo. You got the SMGs doing damage, and then Shox is finishing off the injured players with the K-Bar assault rifle. So far, Mindfreak seems to be holding their own, but it's Shox kind of backpacking. He's 11-5. Excite is behind him at 8-6. If Buzzo and Fida can get a little bit more involved in the kill feed, you could see this game start going in favor of your blue squad. For now, it's been pretty back and forth. Splyce playing this one pretty evenly across the board.
Yeah, Mindfreak, outside of that first score initially by Jerd, has done a fantastic job on the defensive side of things, locking it down, but they're going to let Bance get into a position to get a 1-point throw off. He gets taken out before he can get it off. You see Zero now, forced to play defense.
Did he hear that player to his left? No, because that was player number 5, Fida, sneaking up behind his teammate Mad Cat. Zero will get a bit of revenge, but not before that drone moves up. Excite had it. It's pushed up into the Splyce base, but Jerd holds strong on defense with 2 big kills. Zero finds a third, and now Splyce can go on the counterattack.
We'll see where they decide to bring the drone. If you're Splyce, I think you try, and with how far back Mindfreak is playing, just go for the 1-point throw, force them to get back towards mid-map. A big team kill comes in there from Excite. You see Zero trying to get this one over the top for a 1. He's going to connect. It's going to be Splyce up 1 with another score.
It's been 4 minutes and 10 seconds, just 3 points being scored so far. This is a 1-possession game, and either team could take control.
And it's going to be Zero, currently on an 8 streak in the Mindfreak base.
He's
just
all
absolutely dominating here. It's going to allow Splyce to get in for another 2-point play. Zero on a 9 streak, trying to make it 10 in a row here, and he's able to take out Buzzo behind the statue. Zero going off in the final moments of this game.
Zero is making top 5 plays right now. 10 straight kills. He was 5-9 before he caught fire. Shox trying to counter him with 2 of his own kills. Shox 14-9, Zero 15-10. Your 2 players that we highlighted before the game doing work so far in uplink. Buzzo with 5 seconds left tried to move the drone up. They're just going to make sure Splyce can't score anymore in the first half. A 3-point advantage, and really, it was Zero leading that charge completely.
Yeah, Buzzo was trying to run that one up the gut towards the end, just not able to get by 3 players from Splyce, but Zero absolutely dominated the Mindfreak base there, going on a 10 streak. Was able to open the map up completely for Splyce. led to some nice scores.
And it all took about 3 minutes and 45 seconds to get to that point. So pretty even game until that final minute and 15.
Yeah, now you have these score streaks 4-0. You could potentially use this on the defensive end if they get spawn trapped to get themselves out of it, or use it on the offensive end to result in some easy scores.
Of course, the Trinity Rockets, you can target all players that are out in the open. The bombardment, more used as a zoning tool because the pros aren't really going to be caught off guard by it too often. But already it's Mindfreak with the kill advantage. They're looking for kill control as well as map control. They've got 3. Finally, Mad Cat answers back, but this has been all Mindfreak in the kill feed. Will the drone be moving up? Looks like those score streaks were just used by Zero. He still has 2 left.
Well, it's good by Mindfreak that they force one of these streaks out to be used early within the first 45 seconds of the game. Now they just need to pick up some kills and get further in the base. See Excite hiding in a corner with the Erad. He's able to get 1, but that's not going to give Mindfreak any type of control whatsoever. See, they're still trying to push over towards bike path, and the thing you've seen from Mindfreak is they picked up kills, but it's resulted in nothing. I mean, they just can't get further up. They don't have anybody by the drone to really push it forward.
As people kind of described uplink to me from a pro standpoint, you can't just get 1 set of kills. You have to go for a set of kills where you get 3 down, then wipe them again to effectively push up and get a dunk in. Splyce was able to do that in our first half. Mindfreak unable to do so far. But Fida has come alive. We talked about how Shox was leading the way for his team. He's 18-12. Fida right next to him now at 17-17.
And Jerd goes on a little bit of a flank there. Zero comes in, picks up another kill. He has 1 teammate directly in front of him. I believe that's Mad Cat leading the way. It's going to be Zero going for a 1-point play, and it's going to be intercepted by Shox. He gets the drone out of the base towards the top side of the map. Let's see if Mindfreak can take this one on a breakaway, and that's actually a great play there by Excite, so we don't catch it. He gets taken out by Jerd, but Excite just throws the drone forward for yards before Jerd can kill him and pick up the drone and get a score.
So you see it on the mini-map, that white ball, now it's yellow in the hands of Bance. Splyce has drone control, but they're so far away from the scoring zone. Those kills gonna lead the charge. You're gonna see Zero looking for Fida. Buzzo's gonna get dropped. Jerd takes out Fida. 2 down. They're looking for a dunk here, Matt.
Yeah, and it's going to be Zero trying to lead the way. He's got 2 players directly in front of him. Jerd's going to be able to take out 1. Zero still on another streak, make it 4, leads his team in. It's going to be a 2-point play yet again for Splyce as they are now up by 5.
Zero, the new addition to this squad. He was picked up after the Paris tournament, and he has been a rock star for this Splyce squad. 6-1, 2:15 to go. They lead by 5. It's a 3-possession game. Mindfreak, if they want any chance of coming back, they got to start converting points right now.
Yeah, I mean, Mindfreak, what's gone wrong for them in this game is not really anything in the kills department. I mean, they've done a nice job picking up some kills, getting control of the middle of the map. It's just they've not been able to pick up the drone. I mean, they picked up the kills, they move forward, just not able to advance with the drone in hand.
And we kind of talked about how when one player is not performing really well, you're going to see the team struggle. That was Bance for most of this game. He's just 12-18, not getting the kills we expect out of him. But just to see Zero and Jerd, the way they're playing, so aggressive, they've been able to make up for that lack of kills. 8-1, Splyce is in total control here. And I've just been so impressed by the individual efforts.
Yeah, now you see Bance on a 5 streak. He's causing a lot of chaos in the Mindfreak base. The drone moving up the map yet again from Splyce. We talked about potentially payload abilities coming into question. Does not matter right now. It is going to be Splyce up 7. The drone in the hands of Jerd. He's going to go in for a 2-point play. 7
of their 10 points from Jerd. He opened it up with that opening toss. He saw him with a dunk in the first half, and now they've rallied in 2 here in the second half. 1 minute to go. Mindfreak getting blown out here on throwback.
And Jerd has just had an overall tremendous game. I mean, in terms of killing and objective work, 2 nice kills there from Mad Cat. But Jerd, 27-19, 7 points on the board. An MVP game. Here comes the overdrive in from Mad Cat, bobbing and weaving around players, not able to bring it in for points. And that's where you see, overdrive. It's a very good ability in a game mode like uplink. You're able to get behind opponents, get past them pretty quick. But with the time to kill being so low, you just get spotted for a quick second, you get taken out.
Mindfreak's gonna make one last ditch effort, but now it's really a battle to see who is gonna get the most kills here in game number 3. Is it Zero at 25? Mad Cat's at 25 as well. Jerd looking for the 30 bomb. 12 seconds to go. They're not done scoring. Zero wants another toss.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to go right over the top. It'll be intercepted there by Fida, so a little bit of a confidence boost there from Mindfreak at the end, but they get destroyed in game number 3. It is all Splyce, 10-1.
Mad Cat heating up in the second half of the game. Bance even came alive. He had a nice 5 streak inside Mindfreak's base, and that seemed to be the difference maker. Splyce was basically trading kills evenly, and then all of a sudden, when they got control, they were able to punish over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, it was 0 in the first half. That really locked down the Mindfreak base with that 10+ streak. And then in the second half, you saw from everybody, Bance, Jerd, Mad Cat, 0. Every time those players got inside of the Mindfreak base, you felt like they were going off on 3, 4, 5 streaks, which ended up letting them rally off a lot of points.
I kind of touched on the individual efforts. I do also want to credit Splyce for their passing, their teamwork, escorting that drone as a 3 or 4 man squad. They were able to convert so many opportunities where if you look at Mindfreak, they constantly seem to be just stopped, not at the goal line, but kind of at that 10 or 20 yard mark. They were never really allowed close to that Splyce base.
Well, I think the biggest issue with Mindfreak is they would pick up the kills, they would push forward on the map, but they just would not have the drone. I mean, you'd have 2 players that would get kills, they'd push up. There was no follow-up there with the drone in hand to make anything happen. That's why you saw them not able to convert any of those mid-map kills into points.
So now you're Splyce. You're perfect so far in the GPL, the Global Pro League. You could now finish this one right here in hardpoint. How do you avoid a loss knowing that you feel like you're the favorite team?
Oh, I think, look, Splyce, they're going to come into this hardpoint and they're going to try and put them away quick. They're going to try and blow them out. And I think with the way that Splyce is as a team, just how explosive they are, I think they definitely have the capabilities to do it. You see the uplink box score, 4-1 in the first half, 6-0 in the second half. Jerd, most scores on the team, 29 kills as well. Played tremendous, and we were questioning, can Shox keep up that top flight play that he's been showing so far? He does. 27 kills, a 1.23 KD, just not enough for MF.
You just need either Excite or Fida to keep up with him. Buzzo's always going to play Buzzo's role as the slower AR player for this squad, but if Shox gets a little bit more support, he could potentially help his team force a game 5. They need a big hard point coming up next. We're going to the same map. It's still on Throwback.
And the word I took there is slow. Going into Throwback, you do not need anybody playing slow. This is a map in hardpoint that plays really close quarters. You can see some ERAD play come out on this one. You do not need slow players in this game. You need everybody to play at a fast pace. So you're going to see Buzzo really have to start ramping it up here.
All right, Buzzo, all eyes are on you. Matt's calling it out.
Well, I think it just comes down to like a Buzzo versus Mad Cat. I mean, you saw it in the first hardpoint. Mad Cat played great. Now, Buzzo had a little bit of an off game. Yesterday, when they were able to take out Cloud9, you saw Buzzo play pretty even against Assault. He put up a very strong fight, and you saw what Mindfreak's able to do when Buzzo plays well. He's such a key component to this squad.
That's a great point, Matt. Throwback hardpoint is coming up next, and as we saw in game 1 in hardpoint, that hill is going to rotate every 60 seconds. Some hills you're expected to just kind of play neutral and keep your opponents from scoring. Other ones you're looking for a full 60 seconds or 60 points of time. How do you do that? Where are the key hills as we go into this next map?
So the second hard point on Barn is going to be crucial. You're able to get there early. You're able to lock it down. It's really only 2 chokes that players can come through to be able to break that hard point. So you're going to be looking at that hill. Hill number 2 on Throwback to see if teams can take really good chunks of time.
Jerd and Excite are your FTL jumping players. You're going to have Fida as well as Bance running the reactive armor. Those camo players, as usual, it's going to be 0 working with Shox. And we'll have to see who is able to get the best of their opponents in this one. The first hard point, it was pretty one-sided with Mindfreak simply getting outslayed. Buzzo was a non-factor in the kill feed. We highlighted it earlier. Look for him if he can keep pace with Mad Cat. Mindfreak, the Australians, have a chance of forcing a tiebreaker game 5.
And look, I think if Excite, you put the ERAD in his hands, we've seen him do some very nice things with that so far, and then with Shox, his strong play, I think it really comes down. If Buzzo can play about even with Mad Cat in this one, Mindfreak has a very good chance to force this game 5.
Karma, who you calling here, buddy? Is it going to be Mindfreak or are you going Splyce? He's going Splyce confidently. He feels it's over.
It's a strong pick.
I'm cheering for the Australians, man. I want to see a game 5. I want to see breakout search and destroy, Matt.
As an honorary citizen of Australia, I'm not even sure if I can really take the Australians in this one. It'd be very difficult for me to do so, but I do think, with the way Mindfreak has played, I don't even think we can start really calling them underdogs in any of these matchups. I think that'd kind of be disservice to how well they played so far this weekend. I think they have definitely proven that they could be one of the top teams in the world.
Yesterday you said, Splyce, your #4 team overall. And that is next to some juggernauts like Optic Gaming, United, and FaZe. Envy, they're the top 4 seeds here in North America, but Splyce trying to prove that they are globally a better squad.
And I think Mindfreak is definitely making a case that if they were in North America, you know, practicing a little bit more maybe before this event, or just spend some more time in general playing against some of the other top teams in the world, where do they rank? Because I definitely think they have the gun skill, you know, and the strategy to play on that top level. Just need to get a little bit used to that play style.
Bance at 0 gonna pick up your opening kills. Splyce getting 3, make it 4 opening kills and total control of the initial hard point. They've flipped the spawns as well. Those players getting picked off right away. Now we have some split spawns, so an opportunity for Mindfreak to kind of crash in on the center hard point, and Splyce is just gonna give up the time. They're playing their lives here. They're not even worried about scoring.
Yeah, and this center hard point, you're really worried about making sure you control those spawns for Barn. Any extra time you get here is a bonus. But you see right now, it is Splyce dominating the kill feed, dominating the score. It is 30-0 and counting in favor of Splyce.
And you talked about how important those spawns are. Mindfreak got some nice spawns for this next hard point. It's going to be up to player 5-0 to clear the way because his teammates are spawning so far away from this new hill.
We'll see how he decides to play this. Has one member directly in front of him from Mindfreak, and that's going to be Fida. It's going to be 0, able to win it. Wins another fight as well against Shocks. Almost able to turn there on Excite. But the damage is done. It's going to be a fast break there from Splyce as they now have control of Barn. It is getting dangerous for Mindfreak here. Chris, this is a hill you can take a ton of time on if you're Splyce and you're already up 60-0.
Fida has 4 kills. They've both come in the form of double kill situations. On the other hand, I also want to highlight Bance for this Splyce squad. He has been so strong. In the opening 20 seconds, he already had 6 kills. The pace, ridiculous from him. He's the guy constantly chasing out the spawners. But for now, he's got to set up with 0 and figure out how do we break into the barn, because Mindfreak, they're currently in control.
Yeah, you saw 0 actually jump out of the hill there. So what they were trying to do is they were trying to get that back control area yet again. And with teammates coming off the spawn from that top side, he was just going to push it out, let the next guy jump into the hard point and get control of it. And the damage, man, Mindfreak, they just fall in a big hole here early. It's 80-11 in favor of Splyce. Going over to Bike Path here, this is another one of those scrappy hard points where you could see a lot of contention, not a ton of time able to be taken.
Buzzo's gonna fall. Shocks looking for some kills as well. And it's Excite with the SMG is gonna switch over to a K-Bar assault rifle. Grenades going out, trying to buy himself time. He's not scoring right now, but he's preventing Splyce from racking up that scoreboard. They're in the hole by about 70 points already. Mindfreak needs to score under the bridge here. That was a huge play by Excite to stay alive by his teammates' time.
Yeah, but if you're Splyce, I mean, you do not need to push this hard point, potentially give the side of MF streaks, obviously get them closer to their abilities. You can play for that baseball hill that's coming up next, but Splyce, they get spawned out all the way towards that opposite side of the map. Mindfreak should have control of baseball here at the beginning. This is the hill where Mindfreak can make up a lot of time back.
Fida is playing so fast already. 18 engagements on the other end. We're watching Bance, who was the first to hit double digits. Mad Cat also just as hot as he was in game 1. 12-5. These two have been stars in the hard point so far.
Yeah, and Mad Cat is a player who is able to take over games. See Buzzo pick up a big 2-piece there, but it is not enough. Splyce with another fast break. So what we've seen so far is Mindfreak gets set up for Barn. They get broken right away. They get set up for baseball here. Splyce just uses that raw slaying power that they have, that top flight world caliber slaying power. They just break right through.
Mad Cat going for the beatdown shot finish, but couldn't land the bullet. Instead, it's 3 down for Splyce. Mindfreak, a fantastic break. They surged up the gut. They won their individual fights, and at the end of it all, they still have 30 points to gain here. 15 left on this hill. Mindfreak doing a great job defending, and it looks like Splyce should be able to break in with just 5 points to go. Mad Cat cleans up another double, 3-kill streak here, and you got to start thinking, when should Mad Cat start playing here for score streaks?
Oh, I think, look, with the way that this game is going in favor of Splyce, I think you don't really even need those streaks, to be honest. I mean, you have such a big lead. You just got to play consistent for the rest of this time. I think eventually one of them will end up getting streaks just with the amount of
just naturally
consistent hardpoint time they've earned, yeah.
Shox is picking up 2, looking for his 3rd. It's Mad Cat again. How many times do you see his name twice in the kill feed? The doubles make it the triple. He's flying through the air and melting everybody. Jerd is just 6 and 12. He's kind of been that guy designated for the hill time or the distraction. The slaying power is coming from 2 people. That's Bance and really just Mad Cat now. Only player over 20 kills.
Well, I think on this team, talking about Splyce, we talk a lot about Bance and Zero, how strong those 2 players are. But up until last year, Mad Cat was always the consensus #1 player in Europe in terms of how the North Americans viewed that scene. And you just see why. I mean, he is so explosive with the assault rifle in his hands. Tremendous gun skill coming out of Mad Cat.
Mindfreak still in this one. They're only down by about 50 points, so at any time, they could turn this game around. But they got to pick up the kills first. Only player positive at the moment is Excite. Has his FTL jump, but probably not going to use it until another hard point here at short range. He is going to be chased down. With just 1 Splyce member was up there, and it was Zero causing problems finally. He is going to be eliminated.
And I will say this, Chris, you do have Mindfreak now. They rotate over to Barn early. They've done a nice job of holding this hill. As I say that, Mad Cat just
How does this happen? Yeah, it looked like they were set up to succeed there, Matt. Why is Splyce able to break over and over again?
I mean, they just keep putting on a ton of pressure, just relentless through all sides of the hard point. You see Mindfreak able to break here towards the end. If you're Mindfreak, I probably play for the remainder of time here, the last 15 seconds or so. It'll get you to about 113. And then I know you can kind of contest on bike path, play for those baseball hill spawns. You know, maybe you can make it like a 15, 20-point game going into there. You feel really good considering how far down you were.
We said it was 50 points. Now look at your scoreboard within 30. Mindfreak, nice job. After losing the hill, they took it right back. So we were critiquing them on their setup. Well, they were able to punish their opponents for a weak setup as well. Shox trying to lead the charge here. There is a player on the other side of the bridge. Lots of support from the top, and that Scarab gonna blow up immediately. Shox is gonna fall too. So Buzzo is in trouble. NV4 at short range, not the gun you want. He's punished. It's all yellow in the kill feed once again.
Yeah, and if you're Mindfreak, can't really panic here. You try and play for bike path maybe 1 more time, and then I consider going all the way around towards that top side of the map, trying to get control of baseball. And you see it's going to be Excite in the kill feed with 2, Buzzo with 1. They need to push straight through here on bike path. They need to get over towards that opposite side of the map.
So we're taking a look at the mini-map, right? As these scrappy battles are going back and forth, it looks like Mindfreak will clean up the scrap time. Talk to me about the general positioning. Right side of that mini-map, that's where we're headed. Where are the key positions, though, on that right side?
Well, I mean, you want to have a guy back all the way in bowling and a guy, obviously, inside the hard point watching the top side. And Mindfreak, they get broken before the hill pops up. They're going to spawn very far away here. They're going to have to go clutch to be able to break this. It'll be Shox and Fighter with a kill apiece, and they do get control of the hard point. There's only 2 players there. It's going to be Buzzo and Excite. They need to pick up these kills, and they're doing it, Chris.
Wow, Fighter. So many props going his way right now. 3 streak, 2 of them were huge kills to break the hill. Bance rotated out at just the wrong moment, and Zero is going to come back and flying through with the camo. Gets both kills. Shox the only one still alive here with Excite. They're both going to fall. Another fantastic break. This time it was the payloads being the key.
Yeah, and Splyce cannot win off this hard point, so there's still a lot of time in this game for Mindfreak. You know, still a lot of time in the overall game clock as well. Throwback hard point's one of the only real hard points that we worry about that overall game clock, because we do see a lot of open time in the middle hill, the first hill in the entire game, and then over on bike path. So we will see this game probably go to 250. You won't see it go to a time limit. You do have Splyce getting control of this trains in the middle. I think this is one that Mindfreak, with the way the game is now, they need to play for it.
Jerd just absolutely punished Excite and Shox in that last gunfight. Picks up the double going up against 2 SMGs. And Jerd continues to melt from range. Mad Cat's gonna pinch from the right. Buzzo will pick up the final kill, and it'll be Mindfreak inside the hard point, but not for long. Zero instantly surging forward, trying to push him out. At this point, I think you gotta play a little bit more scrappier than normal here for Mindfreak.
If I'm Mindfreak, I actually try and take the remainder of this time here in the center hard point, or at least hold a lot of it. And you do have a lot of payload abilities to go for this next hard point. I mean, you'll have reactive, and you have the active camo, so you do have a lot to work with over on Barn to try and break.
They're playing scrappy in the center. Buzzo gets in, 10 points remain. Splyce is still gonna challenge though up top. They had just 1 man in position. It was Mad Cat who stops them from scoring. So 207, it's 43 points away here for Splyce. Mindfreak, they have their work cut out for them, need 92.
And Bance picks up 2 big kills from players trying to push through the back, and you see Mindfreak putting a ton of pressure on that top side of the mini-map. They do have all their payload abilities available, and let's see Shox. He does have active camo. His teammates pick up a few kills, so does not need to use it right now. He's gonna be able to get inside the hardpoint, pick up Bance, and you have Mindfreak getting control, 30 seconds on the hill.
Player directly above Shox is going to be behind him. Shox doesn't see either of them. There's 3 players all around him. Shox finds one, calls it out to Fighta. Buzzo and Fighta in the feed, and Shox is going to find the 4th. Great setup there on defense. Excellent execution, and they should be rewarded with 20 points here.
You still have the active camo. It's going to be another kill there for Shox, getting very close to these score streaks. So this could get dangerous for Splyce. You see Mindfreak clawing back into this game. If they did not put themselves in such a big hole at the beginning, this would be very close, potentially tied or even in their favor at this moment in time. They do have bike path control as it pops up here.
But Fighta is across the map, so is the new spawner Excite. They gotta get over, they have to support right away. Splyce is 25 points away from finishing this series. Fighta knows he's got to stop the scoring, drops into contest. He's going to challenge all alone. Now he's got some reinforcements pinching, but they were a second late. Zero's going to pick up 2. Jerd will find the 3rd, and it's just 1 man left, Excite, who should be picked any moment.
Yeah, and Shox still has that active camo. You think potentially he's trying to save that in case we get over towards baseball yet again. 3 kills in favor of Mindfreak. Madcat trying to come over the top. He eventually falls for Splyce. So 18 seconds left here. Be interesting how Splyce decides to play this. If they play for the next hardpoint and give up the remainder of this time, it'll all come down to Shox and whether he's able to get anything with that active camo.
Here it comes, the bowling fights, and it's gonna be Bance shutting down Shox. Excite is gonna be slow to rotate as he's picking up hill time. Everyone spawning across the map, so you got 1 push if you're the blue team. Splyce on defense has to hold strong.
Yeah, it's gonna be Mindfreak with potentially 1 good push at this. There is the active camo. Shox only able to get 1. The rest of the kills go in favor of Splyce, and that should be all.
Nice job by Splyce. They allow their opponents to get back within 30, but they finish strong, never panicking, holding strong in the final push, and great job knowing that Shox is gonna have that camo. As soon as he fired, everyone looked at him and shut him down immediately.
Yeah, and if you're Mindfreak, you gotta be kicking yourself a little bit. You bring that game back so close. They started in such a large hole. If they get off to a better start there at the beginning of throwback, that is when they potentially could have taken and forced the game 5.
So Splyce remains undefeated in our respawn game mode so far this weekend. They've lost 2 of their 3 search and destroys, but hey, you can throw away those searches as long as you're playing this well when it comes to the hard points.
Yeah, look, in the respawn game modes, they have been fantastic. Jerd gets off to a pretty slow start, and that one picks it up towards the end. But you just see every situation, the guys on Splyce in perfect positions.
Tell me about the Slayers here from this Splyce squad. Who have you been most impressed by throughout their 3 matches?
I mean, look, it's really not been like one guy. Like for Mindfreak, you've seen Shox like really kind of go off at times. I think for Splyce, it's really kind of been game by game. I mean, we've seen Bance's name consistently in the feed, doing a nice job playing very aggressive. Madcat today, did not really talk a lot about Madcat yesterday. Same with Jerd. But no, they both show up in this series.
All right, keep your eyes on Mindfreak. They're now 1 win, 2 losses, but they are far from out of it in the running. Remember, all teams will play 6 matches total. Top 2 records at the end of the weekend are moving on into our $500,000 playoffs. That's still to come, but plenty more games here today. Before we get to our next match, though, let's send it to the stage. We have Courage with Bance.
Another incredible performance from Splyce. They are now cruising through this group, beating all 3 of their opponents up to this point. And you guys have yet to drop a respawn. Bance, talk to me about that. Is that what you expect from this team coming to this weekend? Why has it been so easy for you guys?
It's not really been easy. We've just been clutching up. Dylan just then had the series of his life, just slaying everything. And all 4 of us can just go off at any moment. Trey went off in the uplink. I think he went on like a 10 streak. And so just respawns was us clutching up, really.
Well, we talk about those clutch moments, that round 11, a little bit hectic in that search and destroy. Why were Mindfreak able to come back in that game? You guys, I believe, had a 5-3 lead. Then it didn't go in your favor. What wasn't working for you guys in those final rounds?
I think they just started hitting flank more, and we just weren't adapting, really. But we knew they were flanking, but we didn't really do anything. We just sat, and then we just got pinched in. And the round 11 was unlucky. I jumped around the corner. I forgot they spawned closer, and so I could have popped my kinetic, but didn't, and just got gunned.
We were mentioning how big those payloads were in the end. Some were not able to be used between both teams. Now moving forward, you're sitting at 3-0. You've yet to drop a respawn. You got to keep yourselves in line, though. You're not done this weekend. Obviously, the double round robin coming into play. What can you guys improve upon for this second round of matchups as the weekend goes on?
Main thing we need to improve on is our S&D. We're getting rounds, but it's just them the final little clutch moments, like the little 1v1s that we're not making, or our uplink as well, is still a bit sloppy.
Well, it takes a winner to know what they have to work on to move forward. Splyce and crew are lights out up to this point. Folks, we've got a lot of more action to come. First, though, we've got to hear from Benson on the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Jack. A fantastic series there. Mindfreak showing elements of quality, if you will, but Splyce too strong, it seems. And for Splyce, it's a great start to their weekend, of course. 3-0 now, sitting pretty at the top of the group. But we'll talk a little bit about the series and how it went down. Map number 1 went in Splyce's favor, of course. And it was an interesting one to watch, TV, because when you're looking at the minimap and you're looking at the way Mindfreak are playing, fundamentally they were doing the correct things. They were making the right decisions, but they just weren't getting the time on the hill.
Honestly, I think both these hard points were pretty heartbreaking losses for Mindfreak. And you know, little tips with Teep Session. There's a lot of stuff to break down in these hard points as to why Mindfreak was losing. You look at the slaying category, fairly even.
Yep.
A lot of the intro time was going into Splyce's favor, but Mindfreak was doing such a fundamentally good job of breaking hills. The problem is rotation.
Yep.
Many times we saw on both maps, the breakout and the throwback there. And overall, just the setups in hill. Me and Damon were talking a lot about it. They're pushing out a little bit too far, dying in situations where they literally could just be camping. Doing nothing would have been better than what they were doing.
Right.
It sounds simple, but it's sort of like a universal rule as a pro you need to teach yourself and follow. Mindfreak weren't able to do it effectively at all, and for the games to be that close when they were making just such simple mistakes is a bit heartbreaking to me.
Kind of crazy. And Damon, you made the point when we were watching the game that you're like, well, you're never going to win just playing for scrap.
Yeah, and it's crazy because yesterday I was praising everybody, and especially Mindfreak, for playing really fast. And today, playing really fast it's kind of been like their downfall. They're not like hiding, camping.
Right.
You know, like
sometimes
I know the game's fast, right? But you can camp, and the times when they need to camp, they're not camping, and when they need to play fast, they're camping. So, like I said, on breakout, they did a really good job. I think it was breaking the third hill. They got an intro kill. They camped med. They got another kill when somebody peeked tractor, and then they broke the hill and got it. I mean, but it was scrap again, and they were in a deficit. They lost key rotations on a lot of the really key hard points, the money hills, we call it.
Right.
And it's really just like they could have won these maps, as Teep said. They could have won them, but just little mistakes and I guess a lack of consistency in their play style really defeated them.
Obviously, take nothing away from Splyce moment. They had some fantastic pinches and moments of individual brilliance as well.
Yeah, it was the one thing that I took from Splyce's gameplay. You know, when Mindfreak did rotate early, when they, did make the right decisions, as Ben said, playing fundamentally correct, the pinches onto cell blocks, the pinches onto cave, it just worked in their favors. And yes, you've got to set up right, but it came down to those individual gunfights. And we saw, I think it was twice, Mad Cat actually had, Bant said, the series of his life there, but he was winning every single important gunfight that he needed to. Commissary, cell block, cave, it all went Splyce's favor. And the one thing as well Teep said was, for Splyce to take that away, I don't think they would have got away with it against, a top North American team. So you got to weigh things up. Is it good from Splyce? Is it bad from Mindfreak? It's a bit of give and take for both sides.
And competitive Call of Duty all about who's making the least amount of mistakes. And we saw those huge plays from Zero and Mad Cat throughout that entire series, even Jerd as well at times.
Yep.
When you make those mistakes, that's what opens the door for these, tier 1 slayers to come in and pop a 2-3 piece that can completely change the momentum of the game. So the fact that these hard points were that close when Splyce players on an individual level were playing so well, it's a testament to how well Mindfreak was playing in certain situations, but when they needed to be patient, it just wasn't quite there.
Then, of course, moving over to map number 2. Mindfreak was able to take it in a round 11. Kama, you were pretty disappointed that Splyce actually lost that search and destroy.
Yeah, so when I played Splyce last time on Retaliation S&D, I think they mopped us on that. And like they were playing the same way when they played us. They have really good post-plant spots. They like to push up into the market after they plant B-bomb. We saw them plant at A and push through the grave, and really it was a good idea. They almost lost the grave round, but I really like the way they played that map. I didn't really like how Mindfreak played the map, and that's what I was saying. I was a little surprised they won the map, to be honest. going that deep into the game, it made sense that they would have won because Splyce had already used some of their specialists, whereas Mindfreak had a little more. And then in the end, they don't even get to use them. But it was weird that Mindfreak, you know, they weren't taking B control on defense. They were giving it freely to Splyce, and then Bance said it right. They just like, they would go B, Splyce would go B, Mindfreak wouldn't be there, they'd be flanking, and they were just really indecisive. They didn't plant some of the rounds, and then they got flanked, and that's really how they lost the map.
And obviously that round 11, Momo, I mean, that was crazy. Karma kind of touched on it a little bit. We were kind of watching and saying, oh, you know, they have their abilities, and we didn't really get to see any, apart from, of course, the reactive towards the end.
Yeah, we really didn't. And, you know, reactive got kind of wasted. Shox didn't get to use his camo. The one thing we did get to see, the flashy FTL from Jerd, I really liked it. He just looked up and he
it was good.
Straight into the air. Very, very nice. But it didn't work out for him. Shox, I think, just kind of gunned him. The one thing I will put into place was Fighter. He used that reactive armor, big two-piece to end it out. And clutched up, but it just came down to a bit of a, you know, a gruesome battle at the end where, again, like Damon said, I was quite disappointed, to be honest. I wanted those camo plays, I wanted that reactive armor coming in, and just to show how important these payloads are.
I think one of the big things to take away from map number 2, TP, was Mindfreak not looking too comfortable towards that B side of the map post-patch.
I think it's just a fundamental mistake. I think they just sort of underestimate how important plat is towards that middle of the map, and that's what that spawn changes so dramatically there, right? The whole issue is having that the height advantage is so important. You can look over towards that B bomb site, and it's more gaining information rather than getting kills. So plat is sort of that pivot point on retaliation early in those defensive rounds, and especially on offense. So when that changes, you have to change up your strategy. It seems like Mindfreak was just trying to go with things they've been comfortable with.
Right. Series, of course, tied up at 1-1. We headed over to a map number 3, uplink. And that was really where Splyce kind of turned on the heat. I believe we can actually set it down to Merc on the telestrator, breaking down some plays.
Thank you, Ben. And we're going to look at the end of the first half. We're going to have a clip, and this is where Zero really turned it up, giving them a 3-point lead heading into the second half. So if we can roll this clip, you can see just how powerful that sort of statue position can be as soon as you get into that. So we're going to clear this screen. We're going to hold this. And this is the replay that we're going to see. And you can see Zero. This is where his big streak starts off. So they're able to get a 1-pointer. And then Zero stays alive. And you can see all of Mindfreak are stuck in blue. And this is where you have to decide whether you're going to come back to the base as a team or you're going to overextend and play that drone. And you can just see, if you look at that mini-map, so many of the Mindfreak players were separated. And that was really the problem, is they didn't go together. If they did go together, they weren't checking the same angle, and this allowed, you know, Zero to go on this crazy streak that gave Splyce, you know, sort of that 4-1 lead and really sort of lit the fire for the rest of the series. So we're going to take a look at Throwback, and we're going to talk about really how that play developed. So you're going to have Splyce, you're going to have Bance, he's going to push up this alley, you're going to have Zero, he's going to also push up this alley. You're going to have this blue area. This is where you want Mindfreak to spawn. This is where, you know, that trap starts. So you're going to have all of Mindfreak up in this area. Bance, he's going to die after throwing the 1. But Zero, he pushes up towards this statue, towards this drone area. And now Mindfreak, they have to decide. This is the decision. Do we overextend and go to this drone? They decide against that. And what happens is all of Mindfreak separate one-on-one, and they give Zero all this drone control, which then allows the rest of Splyce to get this mid-map control, and they actually decide to take it this way and get that 1-point play. So just a huge play by Zero to stay alive. Such a good spree by him, and that's what really sparked the series for Splyce and gave them that 2-1 lead. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Merc. A fantastic breakdown there of Zero's kind of crazy streak. But Momo, it wasn't even just in the first half. He started streaking again in the second half.
Yeah, it really was. You know, it was just continuation, dominance, you would say. And the crazy thing is, in the interview after the game, Bance was kind of saying, we were a little bit sloppy on I'm just like, on uplink. And I was like, you just 10-1. Like, that shows a real team that can just, you know, dominate a team, but know their flaws for me, and know that they need to improve in certain areas, know that they're not going to get away with it against, you know, better teams. But yeah, incredible plays, and again, for me, Jerd playing fantastic individually. They all had their moments. But But overall, it was a dominant performance, but still, they can improve. And that's the thing about this squad of Splyce is there's always room for improvements against the top North American squads.
Absolutely. And, you know, in that uplink, it seemed like it was Spawn Trap City for most of it, Teep.
Yeah, I'm so happy Joe decided to put that up and explain sort of the decision-making you have to make when you're in that sort of tough situation. Mindfreak were just kind of taking the worst of the options, to be honest. I think sometimes it's better just completely give up a point or two. OE completely through Barn to get some sort of middle map control back, but Splyce did such a good job of setting that up and holding it. But when Zero is shooting like that, so many kills that he probably shouldn't have got, wasn't even taking damage a lot of that time. It was just impressive work from him. So.
And one thing I'd like to mention is watching that game, at one point I said it looked like Mindfreak was playing like they were winning. I mean, they were down 4-1 though. And I'd say if you want to take anything from this map particularly, good uplink teams such as, I guess, Splyce, they seem to be pretty darn good at uplink. And Luminosity Gaming, I guess would be another good uplink team. They're really good at like making the kills count. And I feel like Mindfreak did not really do that, and it's kind of been the story of teams who've lost uplink this week. And they're getting kills, but like the ball's in the middle of the map. It's not moving. You got to move it. And right off the get-go, we saw Mindfreak get 2 down or 3 dead, and Jerd goes underpass and gets a 1 in, what, 10 seconds?
Yeah, crazy.
You can't allow that to happen. So it kind of just went downhill from there, and I didn't really think they were going to win.
Yep, Splyce definitely dominated map number 3, and then going into map number 4, of course, it felt like they had full control. And that was really where Mad Cat kind of stepped up, Momo, and boy, oh boy, did he have a good hard point.
Yeah, I mean, only last week, you know, I was in Birmingham, you know, watching him probably have one of the worst series I've seen him play in 3-4 years, you know, from his very early days of a Call of Duty professional. And today, he seems to have changed something. You know, whether it's the style of play that he's doing, whether it's a bit slow, whether it's a bit faster. For me, he's just going around with his squad, maybe trading out a little bit more. And it really does show him as an individual where, you know, he's putting up numbers where he's, you know, dropping 25 kills. His teammate, I think Jerd at one point was on 9. And not to highlight Jerd having a slow game, but it's really to focus on Mad Cat, how he's stepped up within 4 or 5 days. Fantastic stuff overall.
And Teep, to your point, you felt like Mindfreak could actually be winning these hard points as well.
Oh, definitely. And when we're looking at this box score right here, we see the difference is sort of that number 1 hill, the train. And that was on that last rotation. It was a situation, basically all of Mindfreak were alive in the middle of that hill, and then all of a sudden, 35 seconds of scrap time, they completely push out of it for free. They could have camped, just pre-aim up mid-alley, top green, lime. They didn't do it. I don't understand, and that's where the score basically got out of hand for them. 30 points of scrap that they weren't able to get. What'd they lose by, Ben?
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, 30 points.
Yeah, look at that.
It's painful. It really is. But, you know, fantastic analysis. Thank you, gentlemen, for breaking that one down. Of course, the first game now in the books for day 2 here at the Call of Duty World League Global Pro League. For now, though, we're going to set to a video about the MLG Enhanced Viewing Experience. Let's take a look. There, of course, a look at the enhanced viewing experience exclusive to MLG.tv/Call of Duty. Up-to-date event statistics. You've got featured player POVs, and of course the amazing score streak prediction game. I know Merc likes to think he is very talented at that one, but action going to be continuing throughout day 2 here at the Call of Duty Pro League. And of course, coming up next on the main stage, it's Team Envious versus Cloud9. Can Cloud9 finally get themselves a win on the books?